All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we are going to unpack a really fascinating and, super detailed interpretation of biblical prophecy. It's pretty wild. It takes bits and pieces from all over the Bible and weaves them into this one single epic narrative. Let's see how it all comes together. So everything kicks off with this really powerful and, pretty famous quote from Jesus. On the surface, it seems straightforward, right? It's about having enough faith to move a literal mountain. But the interpretation we're looking at today suggests something completely different. And that is the big question, isn't it? What if this is all symbolic? This particular viewpoint argues that the mountain isn't a mountain at all. It's actually a group of people. And the sea? Well, that represents all the nations of the world. Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with some prophecies about Jerusalem. Because according to this text, that's where the first major clue is hiding. You see, there's this prophecy in Zechariah that talks about a future where Jerusalem is literally split down the middle. Exactly half of its population gets taken captive. Now, that specific detail, half of the city, is absolutely crucial to this whole interpretation. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The interpretation connects two totally separate prophecies. It argues that the half of the city that's taken away is the heavy stone from another prophecy in Zechariah. So the stone isn't a rock. It's people, a whole population. And where does this stone get thrown? Into the sea. So what's the sea? Well, the book of Revelation actually gives us a definition. It says the waters are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Basically, the chaotic masses of humanity. So you have this group from Jerusalem being cast out among all the other nations.
All right, so the big question is, if this heavy stone from Jerusalem is a specific group of people, who exactly are they? Well, this interpretation has a very, very precise answer.
Just so we're all on the same page here, the core claim is this. The stone cut from the mountain isn't a piece of granite. It's a prophesied group of people. And their story is pretty much the main event of this whole prophetic narrative. And that group has a number, 144,000. The interpretation makes a direct link, saying that the half of the city taken captive and the 144,000 people mentioned in Revelation are the exact same group. And the book of Revelation is incredibly specific about who these people are. They're men from Jerusalem, described as virgins, redeemed as the first fruits to God, and they're marked with the Father's name right on their foreheads.
You might be wondering about that mark on their foreheads. Well, it's not just for show. It's understood to be a seal of divine protection. This seal is what sets them apart and, crucially, keeps them safe from the plagues that are supposed to hit the rest of the world.
Okay, so we've figured out who they are. But what are they supposed to do? What's the mission for these 144,000 once they're scattered among the nations? And here's another mind-blowing connection this interpretation makes. It argues that the 144,000 people, as a group, actually embody the two witnesses from Revelation. They're symbolized by those two huge bronze pillars that used to stand at the entrance of Solomon's temple.
So their whole mission plays out like a movie, really. It has 5 clear stages. First, they're cast out. Then they preach and testify for a very specific time, 1,260 days. During that time, they're given incredible power to bring plagues on the earth. But then, the story takes a dark turn. They're defeated and killed by the beast. But wait for it, 3 days later, they're resurrected and ascend to heaven.
And we're talking about some serious power here. I mean, listen to this quote. They can literally stop the rain from falling and hit the earth with plagues whenever they want. That's some major divine authority at work during their time on earth.
But their death, well, that's not the end. Not by a long shot. In fact, it's the trigger for the grand finale of this whole drama, their ultimate victory and the start of a brand new kingdom. So let's break down this endgame sequence. It's like a series of cosmic dominoes. Their death kicks off the final judgments, the 7 bowls of God's wrath. This all leads to Christ's return, where he and the now resurrected 144,000 finally defeat the beast. And their reward for all this? They get to reign with Christ as priests and judges for 1,000 years.
And this is just this incredible image of their final triumph. Can you picture it? They're seen standing on a sea of glass, a place of total purity and stability, finally victorious over the very evil that killed them. It's such a powerful contrast to that chaotic sea of nations they were first thrown into. Now, this is the part that affects everybody else. According to this view, the final judgment of all the nations hangs on one thing, and one thing only. How did they treat the 144,000 witnesses? Simple acts of kindness, giving them food, water, a place to stay, and rewarded with eternal life. But those who are merciless are condemned. It all comes down to how people responded to these witnesses. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, it's this incredible, intricate tapestry woven from dozens of different verses to create one single cohesive story. And whether you see it as actual prophecy or just a really complex literary puzzle, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does this kind of interpretation tell us about our deep, unending search for a single grand story within these ancient sacred texts?